All right, let's step away from the noise of the Great Hall for a moment. We're going to slip into this quiet corridor and listen in on a private moment. This is a court jester's monologue, a peek behind the curtain, a moment of raw honesty when he thinks no one is watching.
This quote right here from the philosopher Fichte, this is our key. It's the central idea that the jester's entire life, his pain, and his whole plan really hangs on. The idea is that you aren't just a thing that is, you're always in the process of becoming. And we're about to see just how true that is for him.
So, picture the scene. The big party is over, the heavy doors have slammed shut, and all that sound and ceremony is just fading away into the stone walls. And it's right here, in the quiet and the dark, that the jester finally speaks. But he's not talking to the king or the court, he's talking to us, and he's about to peel back all the layers. So you have to wonder, how does someone even become a jester? I mean, it's not like you just send in a resume, right? The text makes it really clear. This isn't a career choice. It's what happens when you have a moment where you see the world so differently that you can just never, ever go back. And it all starts with this idea of a seam. It's not some big, booming voice from the heavens or a flash of lightning. No, it's quieter. It's like a little crack in the fabric of reality, that split second where you suddenly see the performance of it all. You see the script everyone's reading from.
And he gives this just brilliant, uncomfortable example. Imagine you're at a funeral, and all of a sudden it hits you. The grief in the room feels rehearsed. It feels fake, like it's being performed. That is a deeply unsettling thought. And right there, in that discomfort, the jester finds the first thread of who he's supposed to be.
You know that weird, inappropriate urge to laugh at the worst possible moment? Most of us, we feel that, and we shove it down hard. Well, the jester is born on the day that he just stops shoving. He lets the laughter come up, and he says it wasn't a choice, it was a discovery. Like you've been leaning on a wall your whole life, and one day you realize it was never even there. Okay, so this isn't just some personal quirk, this new way of seeing things. It actually builds into a really powerful philosophical role. See, the jester isn't just an outcast. He actually serves a vital function in the very reality of the kingdom. This takes us right back to that philosopher, Fichte. The basic idea is that we figure out who we are, what he calls the self, by figuring out what we are not, the not self. You need an opposite to have a definition, right? A hero needs a villain, a saint needs a sinner. So in this whole setup, the kingdom is the self. It defines itself with order, with seriousness, with rules, which means the jester has to become its not self. He's the chaos that gives their order meaning. He's the darkness that makes their light show up. They actually need him. And that is the real burden he carries. It's not the silly costume or the fact that people look down on him. It's this deep, isolating knowledge that he is a critical piece of the very system that rejects him. This question right here is the pivot for the entire monologue. Okay, we get why they need him, but what about him? What does the jester actually want? What does it feel like to be the mirror looking back at the world? And to answer that, the jester lets us in on his plan. He's been given 3 nights, and he's going to use them to hold up 3 very different mirrors to the kingdom. And each mirror is designed to expose a very specific lie. So first, he'll become the monster at a funeral. Then he'll be the gilded fool among the lords. And finally, the madman in the marketplace. You see, each mask is a carefully chosen weapon, a strategy to force the kingdom to look at the truths it tries so desperately to bury. His first move as the monster is to laugh at that funeral. And he insists this isn't about being cruel. He's not mocking the person who died. He's mocking the ceremony, that big wall we build to protect ourselves from the horrifying truth that the universe doesn't care and the dead are simply gone. He's standing right where that wall is thinnest and just laughing. The second mask, the gilded fool, is just brilliant. He uses praise as a weapon. He's going to sit with the greedy lords and just agree with them, praise their decadence so sincerely that it becomes a twisted, horrifying mirror. He's going to force them to see themselves. It's a subtle but absolutely devastating attack. And for his final trick, as the madman, he's going to the marketplace, their temple of commerce. And there, he's going to dance and shout all the big philosophical questions that all that buying and selling is meant to distract us from. He's going straight for the hollow spot at the center of all their so-called progress. But, and this is so important, this 3-night performance is not some heroic quest. The jester is very clear. This is a descent. This is a journey down, and it's going to have a huge personal cost. Think about a typical hero's journey, right? The hero goes up, wins the battle, comes back with a prize. The Jester's journey is the complete opposite of that. He goes down. And with each mask he wears, with each truth he tells, something gets stripped away from him. He's not coming back with a reward. He's coming back with a terrible, brutal honesty.
And this line reveals the real price of his mission. You can't hold up a mirror to show everyone else their own emptiness without being forced to look into it yourself. The mirror reflects both ways. And he knows this is the price he has to pay.
This brings us right to the very heart of this monologue. Here in the quiet corridor, right before the whole thing kicks off, we're about to hear his deepest, most personal fear. He uses this incredible word for himself, uncanny. That feeling when something totally familiar suddenly becomes weird and strange. That's him. He is what the world looks like when it stops pretending. He's the unsettling truth that's hiding just under the surface of everything we think we know.
So what is he really afraid of? It's not the king's anger. It's not the contempt of the crowd or even how lonely he is. No, his fear is something way more fundamental than all that.
And there it is. That's his ultimate terror. What if, after he strips away every lie, after he holds the mirror up to all the world's phoniness, he looks into it, and what he finds is his own emptiness?
What if he's just as hollow as they are?
And this might be the most powerful thing a truth-teller can ever confess, admitting uncertainty. He doesn't have the answer to his own deepest fear, but he puts the glove back on, adjusts his belts, and he steps back into the story. It is a breathtaking act of courage. And with that, the first dance begins.